Hello class, we're starting to chapter 4 Glacier and Arid Landscapes. Outline of this chapter is we'll start with explaining the role of glaciers in the hydrogeologic and also in rock cycle and describe the different types of glaciers. That's really important and that's one of the key points that you have to understand the new terms of this uh, features, right? Describe how glaciers moving and the rate of movement. That's really also important when analyzing the budget of the glacier when hydrogeologists calculate the annual budget of the glacier to create the balance of the system, right? That's very important to analyze their movement. Third section is discussing the process of glacier erosion and the major features that created by these processes. So once we go as a geologist, we can be able to um, to label the features in the field and also we can determine if there was a glacier before or not, right? Then distinguish between the two basic types of glacier deposit and briefly will describe features associated with each type. After that, we'll talk about several important effects of ice age glaciers, and then we'll discuss the extent of glaciation and climate variability during the Quaternary Ice Age. We will move on to describing the general distribution of and the causing of Earth's dry lands. So now we are going to talk about the deserts and their features that we can see. We'll discuss the stage of landscape evolutions, especially in the western United States. Basin and range is a very important region in our country. Describe the ways in which wind transports sediments and features created by wind erosion and distinguish between two basic types of wind deposits. So, as we moved from weathering external processes, we are going to continue to work on the external processes that creating features on landscape. So, we are still working on the external processes. In the first section, you need to note first of all the definition of glacier. You have all the pictures and all of the descriptions, definitions in your PowerPoint slides as well, and you can read more from your textbook. Glacier is a thick mass of ice originating on land from the compaction and recrystallization of snow, and it shows evidence of past and present. So it will be really helpful for us if we would like to study the global warming, right? Glaciers are part of both hydrogeological and rock cycle. It's important for hydrologic cycle because it stores and releases fresh water. It's important for rock cycle because they glacier transport and deposit large quantities of sediments. We are going to talk about the valley glaciers, which are the ones that flow down the mountain valleys, whereas ice sheets, it can be very large in mass, such when we see in Greenland, Antarctica. And during the last glacier maximum, about 18,000 years ago, large areas of Earth were covered by glacier ice. So you need to be really studying that. You need to know the definition of ice sheet, you need to know the definition of valley glaciers, and you need to know their extent. When valley glaciers exist confining mountains, they may spread into broad lobes called Piedmont glaciers. That's another definition that you need to know, the Piedmont glaciers. When uh, when valley glaciers, as you see, when they come to the base level, they charge as a Piedmont glaciers. Similarly, ice shelves form when glaciers flow into the ocean, producing a layer of floating ice. And also, we have a definition of ice cap. They are small ice sheets. Both ice sheets and ice caps may be drained by outlet glaciers, which often resembles valley glaciers. As we talked about the importance of ice sheets in our global warming studies, I would like you to watch this video before we finish up.
For decades, scientists have been probing the Greenland ice sheet from the ground, air, and space. Now a new study uses those observations to see within the ice sheet, laying bare a tale more than 100,000 years in the making. When we look inside an ice sheet, we can see distinct layers formed by thousands of years of snowfall. As snow accumulates, these layers get progressively compacted into ice, which then flows under its own weight. To get a precise history of a particular spot on an ice sheet, scientists drill into it and recover ice cores, which provide a record of the ice's age and what the past climate was like. Seasonal variations, along with ash from volcanic eruptions, show up in the cores, allowing us to date the ice and correlate samples from different sites. To extend this age information across the ice sheet, the best tool that we have is ice-penetrating radar, mounted on aircraft flying low over the surface. Radar transmits electromagnetic pulses into the ice and records the reflected signals, allowing us to track the depth of the layers detected in the ice. Since 2009, NASA's Operation Icebridge has flown over Greenland more than 100 times with a wide variety of instruments, including radar, and produced vast quantities of data, adding to the work from many other missions. This has allowed researchers to generate a three-dimensional map depicting the age of the ice throughout the Greenland ice sheet. This 3D age map shows that three distinct periods of climate are evident within the ice sheet. The Holocene, shown here in green, the last ice age, shown in blue, and the Eemian, shown here in red. The top layers from the Holocene period formed during the last 11.7 thousand years and are fairly flat and uniform, though the thickness varies depending on how much snowfall occurred. Below this, deeper within the ice sheet, we see layers that formed during the last ice age. Layers from this period are darker and more complex, having been further squeezed and sometimes folded as they flowed over the rugged bedrock below. Deeper still are layers of ice left over from the warm period before the last ice age, more than 115,000 years ago. Eemian ice can reveal how the ice sheet responded to a period of warmth similar to the one we are experiencing today. Several ice cores have recovered Eemian ice, but it is difficult to interpret. This new map of the age of the ice sheet shows that there is more Eemian ice than expected in northern Greenland, where it may be easier for scientists to collect and analyze. This new analysis reveals a 3D map of the age of the Greenland ice sheet, from the oldest Eemian ice, to the layers deposited during the last ice age, to the ice that formed during the Holocene. The response of the ice sheet to past climate change led to its current age structure. Further study will help us better understand how the Greenland ice sheet will respond to today's changing climate.